Hey, Ryan.
You did again, second week in a row.
What?
You can do it while I'm drinking.
I didn't even notice that. I
Hi.
was like, this will be a good time. You've been high, right?
We're gonna do that on the air?
But you don't get high no mo.
No, not for a very long time.
Yeah. But like you remember.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well, it depends on why, right? Have you heard about Cocaine Bear?
Yeah. A good friend of the show, my best buddy AJ, told me about it. When I went to that climbing competition in Seattle,
Oh yeah.
we were all hanging out and playing video games and stuff.
Right.
And he was like, "Have you guys heard of that movie Cocaine Bear?" And I thought he was messing with me.
Because it sounds fake, right?
Yeah, and then we all watched the trailer for it.
Like Velocipriest or whatever that one was called.
Yeah.
Like that's not real, but it
Yeah.
is. Yeah. You knew, or did I tell you already that Cocaine Bear is true story?
No, I knew that after seeing the trailer.
Oh, did it say that in the
I
trailer?
think it says based on true events or something like that.
Yeah.
And AJ may have said it too.
It's absolutely a true story, and I think the like actual story is way more interesting than the Cocaine Bear movie.
Yeah.
Like, well, I mean, it blows it. It extrapolates on the actual incident quite a bit. And before I get too into it, we are talking about animals getting high. Down.
Oh, you don't even know.
Oh man, it'd be fun if we can play like some
Like
weird,
funky, groovy, funky music.
like maybe like a 60s hippie style.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think I can find that, so it'll just be the regular one. It would have already played by this time.
Oh, well, feel free to sample that. Get that one for free.
So animals getting high.
Animals getting high.
Is that because there's just like stress of their jobs? Or they're trying to rebel against their parents or something?
Well, they start early, is part of the problem. Actually, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how similar stages of intoxication, like what demographics in the animal population get intoxicated to certain extents and how they're similar to humans. We're going to get all into it. First, I want to tell you about Cocaine Bear.
Okay.
Because I feel like it's topical. Like the movie's coming out.
Yeah.
People are excited about it. This is something
kind of
new.
excited for it. It looks silly and ridiculous and just fun.
The story that it's the true story of Cocaine Bear is less fun, but also very ridiculous.
Okay.
So it's 1985. Awesome year. Tennessee.
That's a good year for cocaine too, by the way.
Oh, for sure, right? Wait till
Yeah.
you hear the rest of this. So it's Tennessee. A convicted drug smuggler's body is found in a backyard of someone's house. He's wearing Gucci loafers and wrapped in a failed parachute. And he had 77 pounds of cocaine on him, as well as
77
pounds of la cocaine
just on his person?
on his person.
How does that work?
Well, that's probably why the parachute failed.
Yeah. They didn't account for the additional almost whole other person.
Pure cocaine. As well as, because he's like a fucking video game character that you loot after you kill it. He had a key to a twin engine airplane that was found wrecked about like 60 miles away. And they were like, well, if there was a plane here and he had these drugs on him, there's probably more drugs somewhere, right?
Yeah. Well, can we back up just a hair?
Yep.
He was found dead wrapped in a parachute, but he had an airplane key on him?
Yeah,
Meaning he jumped out of an
correct.
already
Of an already
in
moving
the
airplane.
airplane
He ditched his plane.
to go to another one. Is that
More like he was flying his plane, trying to get away with the cocaine.
okay?
And there's some theories maybe the plane like ran out of fuel, or he realized he wasn't going to make it to wherever he was trying to make it, or he didn't really know how to fly the plane.
So he turned it off, put the key in his pocket.
Put the key in his pocket.
Ghost Rider style.
Yeah.
And jumped out.
Woo! But it was still heavy.
Okay. That was what did it. That's what pushed him over. The show key weight.
Exactly. And somebody was like, this is an airplane key. I know my keys. Keymaster, if you will. And so they found the plane. And over the next few months, they also found a further about 300 more pounds of cocaine just scattered around the Blue Ridge Mountains.
Wow.
And in the process of that search, they also found the carcass of a about 150-pound overdose black bear. It's also what they used to call me in high school.
Overdose black bear?
Overdose black bear. So, well, it was longer. It was like a long name, surrounded by 40 empty containers or 88 pounds of cocaine.
That's a mouthful.
Yeah.
Did they have an abbreviation for
Yeah. It was like an acronym, and they'd be like, I found a badge for a container Coke. The bear was surrounded by 40 empty containers of what had cocaine in it, and it was dead.
The bear was dead.
The bear was dead, and it had overdosed from all of that cocaine, and extrapolated off of that bizarre and sad event is the film Cocaine Bear.
Gotcha. So I actually was listening to another podcast with Elizabeth Banks, who directed it.
Yeah.
Which I didn't know.
She
until
directed it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's weird.
And she talked about that and how the movie is like, what if this happened?
Exactly.
It took the actual event and then
what happened in between us finding this dude with his Gucci loafers and his key, like he's a chest in Zelda, the master loafers and the key, and to the point where you find the bear. Like, what happened in that time?
Also, do you have to be so stereotypical in your outfit choice as a cocaine
I
dealer?
know, right?
You know, did he have white pants too?
That is exactly. And the t-shirt or the shirt was never fully buttoned. It was always open to the navel.
It was the what's that material? Rayon?
Yeah. Shiny.
Yeah.
Yeah. The whole thing is quite cinematic, but the movie does what I really want to talk about today, which is describe what that bear might have been doing in the process of consuming all that cocaine. And the truth is, animals get high all the time, man. All the time. And my first thought when I learned about this was like, oh, because like they're living in their, I'm thinking dogs and cats, you know, they're living in their owner's place and getting contact highs in Oregon because that's.
Oh, right. Or the pet owners who are like, let's get the dog high.
Yeah. Oh,
it's
yeah,
so
yeah.
mean
Or let's give the dog or the cat beer.
Right.
And like have them drink that.
Yeah.
Always a very strange mindset to me. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, Izzy could use some CBD.
Yeah.
But like purposefully getting your animal high, that's actually pretty common. Like far and away, we're going to talk about wild animals for the most part, but it's mostly like house pets that get reported as having been intoxicated, or like animal control places will get calls about like, my cat ate all my cocaine. Oh. Cocaine. Yeah. But like all that stuff, like fermented fruit, making alcohol, magic mushrooms, coca leaves, all that stuff. I mean, it's been around in the wild. And some scientists think that we only figured out how to use that stuff by watching animals do this and going, why is that deer doing that?
Oh.
Let's eat it. Which is kind of what happened. My introduction to this, have you seen the videos of the dolphins passing around pufferfish
No.
in the wild?
Like puff puff pass?
Like
That? Is that what you mean?
Ryan, exactly. You already got there, and this is why I love you. That's why I'm in love with you. Because it literally is puff puff pass. Puff puff pufferfish pass.
That's hilarious.
It's amazing. Because pufferfish, I mean, they spike. Right?
Yeah,
They spike and they ball spike. But they're also toxic. Like they release a toxic chemical.
Yeah, I've seen that episode of The Simpsons.
Of course it is. Fucking of course.
Pretty much everything I know is from The Simpsons.
Uh-huh. And like if it's backed up
Or
with actual
Sesame
fact
Street.
later. Or Sesame Street.
Yeah,
You're like,
or I
no.
learned it from Sesame Street and reinforced by The Simpsons.
Confirmed, yeah. In a later episode.
Yeah.
Shit. Yeah. Toxic pufferfish. Most animals in the sea are like, fuck that thing. And yet the only two animals that I know of on the planet that have decided, I don't know, I kind of want to fuck with it, are humans and dolphins.
Oh, yeah.
Because as we've established in this show already, cetaceans are fucking crazy.
Cetaceans being dolphins.
And whales.
And whales.
Yeah.
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 And they do it on purpose.
How dare you? Yeah. We've established that dolphins.
Are crazy.
And
they don't
rapey.
follow by the rules.
No.
No.
And listener, if you haven't listened to that Killer Whales episode,
It's the first one.
don't stop listening to this one. Finish
Yeah.
this one and then go and listen to that one.
You'll be glad you did.
Yeah.
Because maybe it'll explain some of that behavior.
Yeah.
And the dolphins, they just hit it just enough. They just take a light hit, if you will.
What are they doing with the fish?
They're getting high.
But how?
So like most things that affect the brain, like it's messing with it a little bit, right? And too much of anything is gonna cause damage. But some toxins or things that aren't so good for the body, like alcohol maybe, like in a smaller amount than 100 proof, is kind of nice,
Yeah.
So the dolphins figured out that they could just kind of kiss it to one another. Like, ow. And
Wait.
it would just get them a little high.
So, okay. In order for the pufferfish in order for you to have an effect by the pufferfish, it has to poke you?
Yeah, like if I understand this correctly, they release the toxins through their spines.
Oh, okay. I didn't
Like
know that.
like
I
a
thought they were like
stonefish.
taking little nibbles of it. or
Oh,
something.
no. Yeah, they're just, no. But one animal that does take nibbles of a toxic thing are these lemurs that they chew on these like toxic millipedes. Have you ever held a millipede before, by the way?
No, of course not. I don't think you've ever asked me a more ridiculous question. Ever.
Would it surprise you to learn I've held quite a few
Wait, I
millipedes?
want to go back to this. So you've asked me a lot of silly things.
Yeah.
Like a lot of silly things. Audience, this person has asked me so many silly things. And we just recorded the most silly question ever been asked to me.
Was it the whole?
Face to face, no less.
Would you have it any other way? Be honest now.
You ever heard that thing that like there's no stupid questions?
Should that have been the name of the podcast?
Maybe.
There's
That's
still
a
time.
spin-off show.
Yeah. It's the bonus episodes.
Yeah.
I like that of being a bonus episode idea. No
Yeah.
stupid questions. And then we ask a really stupid question. AKA just one of my questions. You saw the movie Madagascar, right?
Mm-hmm.
Weren't those lemurs fucking crazy? They like to party so much because they were getting high on millipedes.
Really?
Yeah. They just chew them, like kind of like bite them, like crack them a little bit. They don't eat them usually because they're toxic, but they'll just go, And then they just rub the juices from the millipede all over their body. And then they start salivating a lot and just rolling all over the ground.
Really?
Having a great time. Now, the millipede's toxins is like a little insecticide, so it is doing them a thing, but they're also getting high, like on purpose. They could just rub it around themselves, but they gotta eat it too. Uh-huh.
Oh, that's really interesting. Have there been any studies on the long-term effects of animals getting high?
Well, so that's kind of the thing, right? Like,
is there like an animal homelessness epidemic?
There's
Jobless rates are through the roof.
There's
in the animal
different,
kingdom.
Just like there is in humans, there are
Methadone
different.
clinics.
There's consequences,
Right.
But the consequences may vary. Your mileage may vary depending on your source.
Wait, okay. We've seen The Lion King.
Yeah.
The animated one, not the silliness
No, I didn't
that they
see
made
that
after
one.
them.
No.
The Timon and Pumbaa are eating all kinds of weird bugs. Yeah. Are they getting high?
They're totally getting high. They're eating all
Disney,
those weird
shame on
grubs
you.
and bugs.
Yeah. Wait, he's a
Also-
lemur too, Timon? Is he a lemur? What is he?
No, he's a meerkat.
Oh.
Yeah. I know because that's my family's mascot.
The meerkat?
Yeah, because we like perch up and we're like, what's going on? Are you
I
talking
wasn't
about
paying
me?
attention.
Yeah. Nom, 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 nom. What? I'm listening. Can you believe this guy? Nom, 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 nom.
Wow. Yeah, so Simba was just going through his adolescent phase.
Right. Yeah, just trying
getting
things.
stoned.
Yeah, with his weird stoner friends.
Yeah, he runs away
Warthog
from home
guy,
because
meerkat guy.
mom's too lame.
Yeah, exactly.
She won't let him do what he wants.
That childhood shorty just won't back off.
Yeah.
Yeah, telling me how to live. Yeah, so he just, cracks a couple peds. Cracking peds.
Yeah.
Finding revelations. The dolphins, this is what I mean, like when long-term studies of what it does to the animals. There's some things that are kind of profound. Like the dolphins, when they get their little pufferfish high, they were filmed just floating at the top of the water, and they're just staring at their reflections. Staring at their own reflections.
Whoa.
Dolphins can recognize themselves in a mirror, by the way, which is something that most animals can't do.
Uh-huh. There's that really funny Pete Holmes joke about the dogs.
You can stop listening now and quickly look up that joke, because if you repeat it back to me in real life, I'll scream.
Let's link it in the show notes
Yes.
so that they don't have to look too far.
Okay. Come back now.
Yeah.
Are you back? Great. So, yeah, reflections. They can see them. So they're just like, I see myself. Whoa. And that's pretty cool, right? That's
Yeah.
pretty neat. They've also studied rats who've been given a shit ton of alcohol
On purpose?
on purpose. And meth, they were given meth as well, and access to cocaine. And they showed that rats, if given access to cocaine or alcohol or meth, they would they would engage with it with increasing frequency as the days went on.
Right.
First they just go check it out, and then they'd be like, I gotta see what that's about again.
Right.
And then the next day they're like, maybe I could get my friends involved. Yeah. And they
I
show
need to steal my grandma's TV.
they show reduced sensitivity to punishment for seeking it.
What?
Because of course they're lab rats,
Yeah.
rip. So they're getting little shocks or de-incentivizers to go for it. But as they get addicted, they're showing they don't care, and they'll still try to get at it even if they know that there's punishment coming there.
What was the purpose of that study?
To see if addiction is something that is invented by people who are trying to give excuses to people who have substance abuse problems, or if it's actually a condition in the brain that happens with an introduction of chemicals. Because if you decide that somebody who's addicted to something is just a piece of shit, and they could change it if they wanted to, if it's really that bad, then you're not believing that it's something that's happening in their brain, like actual changes. But if you see a rat doing it, like the rat's not trying to get attention, right? It's not just looking for money. Like, it's just a rat. And so if it's showing that like the reduced sensitivity to punishment thing, that's probably what's happening in a human's brain too, right? Like the consequences just don't mean as much.
Yeah.
And you see it in like parakeets that get drunk on fermented fruit. And you see it on monkeys that will like go after tourist cocktails and just fucking down that shit. Like in places that have monkeys just like running around.
Yeah.
Like monkeys actively will seek out drinks like left behind and beers and stuff, and they'll just go for it. And there's just like rampaging troves of drunk monkeys.
Do you want to hear a funny story?
Yes, I do.
And also horrible.
Yeah.
So I have a cousin, and at the time I was like a teenager. I was like 16, and this cousin of mine, I'm not gonna say any names. They don't listen to this, but I still won't.
Yeah, a lot of cousins too. So.
I have a ton of cousins. Mexican family.
Odds are good.
This cousin was like a little guy, right? Walking and running around and stuff. So when there was like a party or something at my aunt and uncle's house, this cousin would run around, and if somebody set a beer down on the table, he would run over and drink it.
Oh, he'd just like go for it.
And he would do that all night.
No.
Yeah. And people would be like, they would pick their drink back up.
Because he would get right up in there.
Who's been drinking my beer? He would drink so much of it.
That's terrible.
It was terrible. It was like a thing.
Shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like, you got to sit it up this high.
Oh, like
otherwise he's
lol,
gonna get it.
the child's an alcoholic.
Yeah.
Can you believe lol?
So he's like a little monkey running around.
Fuck. Exactly though.
Yeah. And he was, sneaky.
Shit.
Yeah.
Well, what's wild about that is like you see, where is it? Yes, here we go. So they did this observation study on St. Kitts in the Caribbean. They used to have like hella sugarcane plantations. Fuck. Anyway, hello. Like sugarcane plantations were like a thing. Christopher Columbus and shit. He like put them down there and enslaved the Jamaicans and all that. So these islands in the Caribbean used to have tons of sugar plantations, and the monkeys would get drunk on the fermented sugar cane. Yum, 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 yum. And so now you had, because of humans, like just a bunch of rampaging drunk monkeys. But once the plantations kind of started to go away, the tourists are what came to these islands then afterwards. So they've still managed to get their fix. But what I think is so interesting is most of the monkeys, like the largest percentage, drink in moderation. About 12% drink heavily, and 5% drink excessively to the point where they're just like rolling around on the ground most of the time, most of their day.
Whoa.
Which is similar to like purported social studies of human alcohol consumption. Like most drink in moderation. There's like a surprisingly large amount of heavy drinkers. And then like a consistent in the single digits amount of like this. And there's a very small amount that just rejects it altogether and doesn't engage at all. And it's like, I'm cool, bro. Like us.
Yeah. Well, we were in that one part, and now we're in the other part.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and this part I think is super interesting. Juvenile monkeys also tend to drink more than the adults.
Because
the adults got to get up in the morning and work.
Yeah.
Go find food to steal.
They have bills to pay.
They got monkey bills to pay. Monkey bills, man. Reindeer deliberately forage for and have been known to fight over hallucinogenic mushrooms, magic mushrooms.
Whoa.
They'll fight each other for them. And what I love about this is in Eastern Europe, it's those mushrooms that like look like your stereotypical magic mushroom, like the red cap and like the white spots on it.
Oh yeah, like Toad from Mario.
Exactly like Toad from Mario.
Is that why Mario keeps that little guy around?
Yeah, because he's fucking tripping balls all the time.
That's probably why he's like fighting monsters. And
Yeah,
stuff.
because
He's
he's
just so
losing his
wasted.
mind. The gateway is opening for him. It's all spilling out.
No other explanation for a plumber trying to find a princess and fight a
They're-
dragon.
Well, they're not good for humans. Like, they're actually pretty poisonous. But the reindeer can handle it. But it didn't stop people from wanting to use the mushrooms, because they would see the mushrooms like giving the reindeer a good time, and they'd be like, I want in on that, but it keeps killing us, Jarl. And they were like, Bjorn. These are not Siberian names. So they ended up finding that they could still get high through the mushrooms by feeding the mushrooms to the reindeer and then drinking the reindeer pee.
What? That's a long way to go.
Someone found that out.
Yeah.
Someone did the research.
I wonder what that conversation was like.
It's just like a weird fixation on two species really intent on getting high.
Okay, hear me out.
Yeah.
So I accidentally drank the pee. Don't tell me how I found it, but I accidentally drank it, and the trip was awesome.
Don't look at me like that, Blitzen. I just wanted to see what you were talking about. I wanted to meet Santa.
So gross.
I wonder if that's where like the Santa Claus myth came from. It was just some Siberian people tripping out with their reindeer and being like, whoa, it's with the red and white too.
Right,
you know,
yeah.
the mushrooms turning into Santa. Shit, it's all coming together. I see you, Coke. Coca-Cola, I see you.
Yeah.
And your plans. Yeah, it goes on and on and on. There's a drug that I give Joan quite a lot. Is catnip.
Yeah, what is that? I've seen her getting all crazy with catnip.
It's pretty wild. It's
You've explained it to me before too. What is it again?
it's just like a little clovery, grassy herb thing. You can buy it at Safeway even, and yeah, it has like a calming effect on humans sometimes. Like sometimes you'll see catnip in tea blends.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is catnip like a...
It's like a herb.
Well, is it the official name or is it...
Yeah. Yeah,
Catnip.
it's catnip. I mean, it's got like a Latin name too, you know?
Well, I guess like I thought they called it that because it was specifically for cats.
Oh, well, it makes the cats go nip.
That's why I thought that.
Yeah. But because we're humans, we got to try it too.
Oh, yeah.
And they were like, I guess it makes me sleepy kind of.
It doesn't make her sleepy at all. It makes her nuts.
And I think it's super fucking cool that catnip also has the same effect on lions and tigers and like pumas and shit. Jaguars get high in the Amazon by chewing on these hallucinogenic roots and vines. The vines have basically have DMT in them. So just like slamming the white eye, you know, just becoming whole separate beings. And this group of local Tucano tribe people made like a ritual drink out of that vine, and they called it Jaguar Eyes.
Cool.
Because the jaguars trip out on it, and
Yeah.
they're like, oh, I heard about those reindeer, and we're going to do it too. So isn't this wild that like the things that they're tripping out on, the things that they're choosing, like the dolphins, like having to fuck with the pufferfish, and we eat pufferfish. We have no business eating pufferfish. It has told us no. And humans were like, I kind of want to try it. Like the parallels are so interesting to me, you know? Like we couldn't just let fruit rot on the side of the road. Like we had to try it. Oh.
What if we ate it?
This is fizzy. Do you feel weird? I kind of feel weird. I also might vomit. The most interesting fact that I learned was rats. It's another rat study. When rats were like in really small, shitty cages, like just like steel bars, what you'd probably think of if you think of like a lab rat enclosure.
Yeah.
If they're by themselves and they just have that shitty little cage, if they're given the choice between water and sweetened morphine, they choose the morphine even until they die.
No, that's messed up.
Yeah. But if rats are put in like large, comfy cages with each other, they like sometimes choose the morphine, but most of the time they just like choose water and they never overdose.
And this is also a study on depression then?
Right. Well, it's like, why do we go so far sometimes? You
Yeah.
know? Would
Yeah.
we do that less if we were having our needs met just by engaging with one another?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I know.
Yeah. When was that study done?
Beep, 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 beep. Like around like 1998, 2000.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So like when before social media, but when like computers and the
Computers.
internet was
That
like
is, yes, absolutely. No, it's so funny. Like, that's totally how I think of things as well. I'm like, all right, like, I actually see it in like a 1990s shitty commercial where I'm like, that's when the transition happened. When like we had a family computer, but there wasn't Facebook yet.
right.
So like, how good was the research then? Like, how much did we communicate education? You know,
Yeah.
can I trust this study?
Well, I guess I made that connection, and it's probably a separate topic. But, you know, if with the internet being more and more accessible starting at around that time, removing us from our social circles and then putting our attention into this little screen, right? Then we are getting maybe more isolated, more depressed, and then going into drugs as sort of as a result of that.
Well, I mean, like, you could even use the internet and like, you know, our handheld media devices and stuff like as the substitute for the morphine, right? Like, what is it really doing? Like, the morphine is numbing your pain and, you know, making you less aware of your surroundings and sedating you. And like, arguably, as a victim of the doom scroll, like, I will like recede into my cushions until my neck is at a terrible angle. And I'm just like, for hours. And it's crazy. And like, would I be better off just in a comfy room with my friends? Absolutely. Would much rather have that time, have that day, but I'll choose the shitty one if I'm keeping myself in that environment.
Yeah. And yeah, that's a result of that too. It's just well, like I think like the doom scrolling thing, obviously it's a real thing. You know, people, you've talked about it, other people have talked about it.
Yeah.
But in addition to that, it just sort of drives people into their own heads a little bit more. And then to escape that, it's probably a lot easier to abuse substances than it is to like ask for help.
Oh, yeah.
Face to face.
Totally.
That's all. Like, I don't know, but.
And it's a lot easier to just like write a comment on a thing than it is to call the friend.
Yeah.
And we're going to choose that method, even if it leads to the depreciation of our friendship, because we're not actually having authentic communications that like fill our need, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I did that ayahuasca thing, I thought it was really interesting the way that was all put together, because it was like a communal kind of thing,
right?
Too. Which is like sort of the opposite of what we're talking about. But now that I'm hearing that study and sort of our thoughts on it, it's sort of reframing it slightly for me, because like the whole purpose of it was to commune with the people that you're doing this with, and sort of experience. You're going to have your own, like I had my own personal experience with it, but then I was able to share it in sort of a weird spiritual kind of way with others. Like they didn't know what I had seen and what I had felt, but they their hearts were open through this experience to like
receive
comfort
it.
me. It was very weird.
There aren't a lot of spaces where we can be like that with people.
Yeah.
Be so like transcendentally vulnerable.
What does that mean?
Transcendental is like things that are beyond our universal understanding, like of our reality. So like transcendentalism is like all the woo stuff, like, well, you're just on another level, man. Like your auras are vibrating across this reality into the next one, and blah blah.
Yeah,
you know, it gets deeper than that. But like being able to ask big questions of people and have like kind of honest and like innocent reflections about things. There aren't a lot of safe spaces where we can do that now these days, you know, unless you're religious. You know what I mean, though? Like churches and stuff are sometimes used as those spaces for people to be really emotionally vulnerable with other people. But there aren't a lot of like social spaces for people that aren't engaged in that.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. So do the animals like have little like weird
most of them
acid trip parties?
Like being together when they're doing these things. Yeah. Most of them are doing this together. Like in Vienna, there were a bunch of songbirds that were found dead all over the city. And they were like,
Is this like a Jonestown thing?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
Is there just like one head songbird that took all of their money and is living it up somewhere?
And made a little
some
songbird
giant
town?
redwood tree or something?
Exactly. Oh, man. It like freaked people out enough that they did little postmortems on their tiny songbird bodies, and all of them were like full of fermented berries
and wearing track shoes.
Yeah,
suits,
matching ones.
Yeah, and Nikes.
Isn't that a different one? That's Heaven's Gate, right?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we did didn't we do a whole episode on our last show with Peyton? About Heaven's
Gate? I think so.
I think he came in and he was like, bro, check this out.
That was his You Don't Even Know.
Yeah.
And I was like, I do know about Heaven's Gate. Welcome.
Yeah.
Bless. Yeah. Yeah, they were all super drunk and they all had broken necks from running into windows because they were so drunk that they couldn't see where they were going. So they just like died all over the city because they were all getting drunk at the same time and they all took off and went, I know.
Don't drink and fly.
Well, you know, yeah, exactly. Don't do it with your friends either.
Yeah.
See what happens. Yeah. But yeah, like most animals seem to like doing this stuff together. Sheep will eat these bighorn sheep in the Rockies will like chew on lichen that has like a narcotic effect on like rock surfaces, and they get so into it that they'll chew until their teeth like go down to the gums.
Really?
Yeah, they'll just like be scraping away at these rocks trying to get this like dope lichen.
Are there any animals that don't do this stuff?
That don't get high?
Yeah.
I mean, sure, but like even caterpillars like eat cocaine leaves. In Colombia. Like it gets like small, you know? And it goes out into the big. And it's not totally understood why that's like such a thing across the animal kingdom. And like some animals, there are these shrews in Malaysia and they drink like with fermented nectar from this palm tree. They drink the equivalent in their body weight to like 12 glasses of wine in one sitting. Just like slurping up this palm nectar. And they'll do that for like 2 hours. They'll just like throw him back. It'd be like a person like throwing back 9 beers.
Like Andre the Giant.
Like Andre the Giant, like with a bucket, you know?
Yeah.
And they don't show signs of being inebriated at all.
Really?
Yeah. So it's thought that they have like some sort of gene that's switched on or switched off that we don't, that lets them metabolize alcohol a certain way.
Whoa.
But then they're like, why are they doing it then? You know?
Yeah.
I just like the fizz. Blop, blop, fizz.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's pretty wild.
Yeah.
My favorite news story that I read about this when I was researching, it's from Tasmania. Razzmatazz. You know what a wallaby is?
I think so. Is that what Rocco was from Rocco's Modern Life?
You know, I reckon so, because they're like little kangaroos.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's basically what Rocco is.
Yeah.
Shit, that is what Rocco is.
Right.
In my head, I kind of had him as a dog, but he's not a dog.
He has a dog named Spunky
Whoa, that's
that
kind
eats
of
anything.
That's some weird like Mickey Pluto shit,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I like that.
And because Rocco's neighbors are frogs.
Yeah, that's fucked up. It's fucked up that he has a
and
dog.
his best friend is a cow.
Oh yeah.
A
Whoa.
bull, I guess, technically.
Yeah.
A bull named Heifer.
Oh. Well, I mean, they were ahead of their time. I just went on a whole emotional journey there.
Yeah.
It took me way back. I'm sitting on my bedroom floor. I'm 5.
So, yes, I do know what a wallaby is.
Wallabies.
I know that they like wearing blue shirts.
Did you know that they also love opium?
Well, that explains the show. for
Doesn't
sure.
it? So Tasmania has like one of their hugest exports of opium comes from Tasmania, like in the whole world. Like most of the world gets its opium from Tasmania.
Oh.
Super random, right?
Yeah.
But it must be really pretty with all the poppies everywhere, you know? But these farmers were reporting that like their crops were starting to go missing, and that they were noticing like these weird crop circles in their opium pastures.
Yeah.
Fields. And they were like, what the fuck are these fucking signs? Shit, where's Mel? You know, like this is wrong. I'm tripping out, man. And then eventually they found these wallabies just like passed out. They'd been like running around in circles in these fields.
Because they were all loaded?
They were all loaded. And then they'd just black out. And then they'd be like, oh shit. And they'd run off, leaving these like crazy spiral patterns in the fields. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's really funny.
I love it. Yeah. So many species deliberately seek out getting high. And they'll choose it over food sometimes and fight over it.
Wow.
And really, guys, the reason why we're not so different is because we are animals.
Yeah.
So, you know, cut yourself some slack next time. And let me know how Cocaine Bear is.
Yeah. Maybe put your device down and go talk to your friends.
Go talk to your friends.
Choose water.
While being a little
not
high.
the morphine.
Yeah. And don't forget to bring bread.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that is very cool. I had no idea about any of that. That's
It's
pretty
trippy,
interesting.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, kid.
Yeah.
I think now is a good time to say a very special thank you to Jesse, who was
hell
our
yeah.
very first patron on Patreon.
Went all the way to the max level.
Yeah. So here is your shout out, Jesse, and then we're gonna get that topic that you want to do.
You are a
Pretty
gentleman
soon.
and a scholar.
And then also a very special thank you to Paul, because he is also a patron.
He is?
Yeah.
Paul, thank you.
I know, right? Such
Aw.
a good dude. Very, very big supporter of our show.
You are very loved. You're very loved.
Paul is?
You are. Who, Paul? T.
Yeah, he's been very kind for shouting out the show, and
This is true.
lots of people have. To be fair to them, lots of people have, but
Yeah,
it's
thank
been
you
really
guys so
cool
much.
to have the support of all of them, and especially Jesse and Paul. So thank you guys. Cool. Is that it?
That's it. Now you
Nice.
know.
All right. Thanks, kid.
Bye.
Bye.